So again, today I have, we're going to talk about sashings and cornerstones. We last week spoke about basic sashings and cornerstones, two ways to apply them to your blocks. So, and how to sew them, make sure all your blocks are lined up. We also did sashing without cornerstones and how you ensure that those blocks are lined up when you don't have a cornerstone to use the seams to get everything squared up. So today I thought we would just play a little bit. I spent all day yesterday just playing, kind of intermixing and matching different sashings and cornerstones, and I could come up with 50 zillion different ideas, but I'm only going to play with a few of them today because you only have so much time. So in the meantime, I would ask that you go to our YouTube page, search for us, and follow us, like us, and every time that we post a video, that will go out there. So what I've been using are sampler blocks from our past pre-cut block of the month. And last year we had this little chain. So I'm going to just play on my table down here. Last week or the week before, we talked about basic sashings and cornerstones. And as I said, ours had last year had this little chain. So we put a 3-inch sashing suggestion with a 3-inch block so you could carry your design across your quilt. So that is always one way to do your sashings, but you can do other creative things. Make little mini blocks like this guy, this little pinwheel. And you can dress up and put up another little element into your quilt. So I get a lot of times people that have 12 blocks or they only have 6 blocks and they want to make the quilt bigger than a throw or a twin. And some suggestions on doing that is making your borders and sashings larger. And some of them are maybe some alternative blocks that you could add in. So today we're going to talk about sashings and cornerstones and some ideas there that you can switch up. So this would be a basic one with white. You might, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a little bit larger one here. All right. So if we had a larger one, obviously you would put in a larger block. Now, none of these are sewn, so, you would have your seam around there. So if I wanted to do just enlarge my quilt, I could just enlarge my sashings and still have that go through. It would just be a little bit larger there. Or I could still even do a chain, but maybe do a little more of a decorative element in there to go through our, and keep our chain look there. So guys, I'm going to show a couple different things here, and I would ask that if you really like something, let me know. And for this year's pre-cut block of the month, I'll do another write-up on a setting that's of your choosing. So whichever one you vote as the best one that you like, I will write up a setting block for that. This year's red, white, and blue is has stars in the background. And then it's got 3 different blues, like a really dark, a medium, and then a lighter color, and then the reds. So and they're going to be mostly tonals. They won't have prints in them like these guys do. All the colors will be tonal, and all the whites, like these all have the gunny sack. The other ones will be white with these little baby stars that are about this big on this red. So it's really coming out really nice. Great for Quilts of Valor or honor quilts, flight quilts, things like that. So kind of keep that in mind. Great price point. But we want to see how can I take 1 euro blocks, 12 blocks, and make a larger quilt out of it? So this is one way to do that. Some people do not care for just a plain white. So maybe we dress it up a little bit with some color and put that out there. And separate the blocks a little bit. Now, I find that it kind of makes them pop a little bit more than the plain white. The white will give your blocks an essence of floating, but the sashing can really change the look of it. Another thing that you could do, and here's that pinwheel again that you could put in there. Of course, it would be larger than that. Another thing that you could do is do a pieced sashing. So if you had a little decorative element, you could put these down across your quilt. And that would just, and then you would have 3 different sashings there. Another way to, again, increase the size of your sashing, and it could even be bigger than this. You know, if you did a decorative element like that, you could have 2 inches, your 3 inches and 2 inches or something like that, and really make this a little bit bigger that way. Okay. All right. So, and if you had the white, what that would do is kind of make your blocks float a little bit and still have that decorative element in there, taking the white from your blocks and just carrying it through. Okay, so let's also talk about, let's see, we just talked a little bit about floating your blocks. And this looks good with this guy. This little 4-piece guy. So I can still keep that chain going through. Just a solid one. I also have the reverse of that. And what's nice about this kind of a view is it will frame your blocks. So when you put all of these together, you can see you will have a little frame going around your block. So if you didn't want to put a, you know, a 1-inch frame around every single block, you could do it with your sashings there. And that's kind of a cool look also. Okay. I was playing with the idea of framing my blocks with 2 different colors. Okay, so this still can do a frame around your blocks. Oops. Let me just pull that one. He's in my way. He's in my way. There you go. So now you can see I have a red frame, a blue frame going around the blocks. So that is kind of a cool element. The other thing you could do is just take the strips and make your blocks larger by alternating colors and then put, again, another smaller 2-inch strip through with a cornerstone. That's fine also. So either way would work on that. I was playing with another sashing that I saw out there, and and I'll show you that in a minute. And then I came across this guy, and I thought this was really kind of cool. So just having this little snowball block in the center did something different for the corners of my frames. So you can see the little diagonal, it pops back up and goes around. So I thought that was, and it could maybe be just a little bit bigger than that. But I thought that was a cool element to add to the quilt. Okay, so cool element. I really like that one. So I'm still trying to determine how to put these together because this is going to go to probably a Quilts of Valor or Honor Flight or something. Okay, so another option is to frame them. Could just be to do a 2-color sashing. There we go. Okay, and you could bring it all the way up if you wanted to that way and not have a cornerstone at all and just do the sashings that way. You could separate them if you wanted them to be more definitive and still put a cornerstone in, because some people are just more comfortable with the cornerstones because they can line things up better. So, but we can also just flip that and put a nice little element in there too. And what's nice about this is I still have my chain. So this is another option for this particular quilt to be able to maintain that chain. Okay. I am just going to play now with a couple of other little guys there. Still have my chain. And it kind of cuts off my frames here and carries my chain. So that's another little option for the center. And if you like that and you just like it all the way around, then I can do that and I get that cornered frame all the way around. So this is all I have put together to show you, but I just wanted to give you some ideas on what you could do to enlarge your quilt a little bit using your sashings and cornerstones. Of course, a cornerstone can be anything that you would want there. You could fussy cut a cornerstone. I'm going to show you Lois's quilt that she let me borrow, which is the Christmas blocks from last year. So they also have this diagonal in here. And she used a 6-inch sashing. So these are 4 inches, but she used a 6-inch sashing. I'm going to grab the quilt here. And the reason she used a 6-inch sashing is because she fussy cut. There was a little panel that went with this collection, and she used those as her cornerstones. And you can still see the diagonal that carries through the quilt. Let's see if I can get it up here so you can see it. But what a beautiful layout with a 6-inch sashing. And that, of course, made this quilt a lot bigger than the original throw. It's beautiful. But you could do anything. You could put a 6-inch block in there. You could have little stars in there or 9 patches. You could do anything in this. And then you could even block off some of the corner of the sashing. And if you did that, you would have like maybe a friendship star going through the quilt. So a lot of things that you could do to enlarge your quilt with sashings and cornerstones. Lois, thank you for letting us borrow your quilt. I think that's all I have for you today, guys. I would love for you to go and follow our YouTube page. I would also love some ideas from you guys on what you would like to see in the future. So if there's something you would like me to do, I would be happy to do that. So I'm going to briefly talk about borders next week. And I think that is all I have for you today. So thank you for joining me on this session of Coffee with Amy. And I hope you got something out of Sashings and Cornerstones. We'll make something beautiful and post it on our Friends of Cities Edge page. Thank you for joining me this morning. Bye-bye now.